Welcome to this explainer on a case we're calling the hidden credit card. Imagine this. You're just doing a completely routine check of your household budget. You've been married for 12 years, everything seems perfectly normal. But today you're about to stumble onto a secret that is going to change literally everything. We're going to dive into how one man actually transformed a completely devastating betrayal into a masterclass in strategic legal justice.
So, picture it. It's a random Tuesday afternoon, right around 2 p.m. A guy named Michael is working from home, doing his usual monthly budget check-in. Just normal household stuff. But when he pulls up a credit card statement, his entire world just stops. Right there, staring back at him on the screen, is an absolutely staggering number. $47,000. And no, this was not some joint expense he forgot about. This was 47 grand in secret spending that his wife Sarah had racked up over 18 months. All on credit cards he had absolutely zero clue even existed. I mean, in a split second, Michael's reality was just completely shattered.
You know, the psychological trauma of a moment like that, it's almost impossible to overstate. It's this visceral, gut-wrenching pain. Because it wasn't just infidelity, right? It was massive financial deception. And what makes it so incredibly cruel is the context. For months, Sarah had been looking Michael dead in the eye, telling him, "Oh, we can't afford a family vacation right now," or "We definitely can't afford a down payment on a bigger house. We really need to be careful with our money." Meanwhile, she was secretly draining their accounts. She was literally stealing their family's future to fund this entirely hidden life.
Now, when Michael actually dug into the timeline, this heartbreaking, incredibly obvious pattern started to emerge. Every Tuesday and Thursday at exactly 2 p.m., boom, a Starbucks charge. And it was always across town in a business district where she supposedly never went. Then, he finds these recurring restaurant charges for 2 people during weekday lunches. And the real kicker? The undeniable proof was these recurring weekend charges at places like the Hampton Inn for exactly $147.89. And get this, these charges were happening on the exact same weekends Michael was pulling overtime shifts to provide for the family. She was taking the money he was earning to finance an affair during her so-called work-from-home hours. Unbelievable.
Okay, so here is the absolutely crucial pivot. What does Michael do next? Well, human nature, your immediate instinct, is going to be to confront them, right? To yell, to demand answers, to just completely explode. But from a divorce lawyer's perspective, that is literally the worst possible thing you can do. The absolute worst. If you confront them right then and there, you give the betraying spouse the chance to lie, to manipulate you, to start deleting evidence, and worse, to hide whatever assets are left. Michael made this brilliant shift. He went from emotional victim to strategic mastermind. He maintained absolute, utter silence. No crying in front of her, no screaming match. He decided right then and there to treat this like a legal investigation and quietly build his case.
For 3 agonizing weeks, Michael basically lived a double life in his own home. Think about how hard that would be. His wife was completely oblivious, thinking her secret was perfectly safe. But Michael, he was acting like a full-on detective. He processed that immense, crushing betrayal in total silence. He meticulously pulled all 18 months of financial statements, organizing every single transaction. He even took the massive step of hiring a private investigator to match up all this financial data with actual physical proof. I mean, the composure it takes to sit across the dinner table from a spouse who is lying to your face, knowing you are slowly, methodically building an airtight case against them, it's incredible. If you ever find yourself in this kind of nightmare scenario, you need to know exactly what goes into your evidence arsenal. Michael didn't just print out a bunch of papers and toss them in a shoebox. No. To make these records undeniably admissible in a court of law, he indexed them chronologically. He cross-referenced every single sketchy credit card charge directly with the private investigator's photos and the hotel receipts. Because in court, vague accusations, they mean absolutely nothing. You need a rock-solid paper trail. So he gathered the full, unredacted credit card statements, the comprehensive PI reports, the actual hotel reservations booked under her name, the restaurant receipts, the phone records, the whole shebang. If you are ever worried about financial infidelity, this is your exact step-by-step checklist for gathering bulletproof proof.
So let's talk about the core legal strategy here, because this is where it gets fascinating. Michael and his lawyer understood this key reality of family law that most people completely miss. In a lot of jurisdictions, just emotional infidelity, it rarely impacts how assets are divided. A judge might think it's morally wrong, sure, but financially, you're usually still looking at a standard 50-50 split. But marital misconduct, that changes everything. Using marital assets, meaning the money you earned together as a team, For personal stuff like an affair without your spouse's consent, that is not just cheating. In the eyes of the court, that is treated as straight-up financial fraud.
It's all about how you frame the narrative for the judge. Think about it. If you walk into a courtroom screaming and crying about a cheating spouse, the judge just sees an emotional issue, and that usually leads right back to that standard 50-50 asset split. But if you walk in totally calm and present this incredibly organized, irrefutable documentation of marital misconduct, the judge doesn't just see a cheater anymore. They see a financial fraudster. They see someone who actively embezzled from the marital estate. Framing the betrayal through this specific, calculated legal lens completely flips the power dynamic. It opens the door for some truly devastating financial penalties against the spouse who broke the trust.
Because Michael kept his cool for those 3 weeks, he held on to the ultimate trump card, the element of surprise. When he was finally ready, he walked into his lawyer's office and dropped this thick, flawlessly organized folder on the desk. He filed for divorce, and he included all that documentation of the marital misconduct right from day one. And then, Sarah was served the divorce papers while she was sitting at work. Zero warning. Because of his silent, methodical preparation, she had absolutely no time to hide assets, she couldn't transfer funds to a secret account, and she couldn't spin up some elaborate web of lies to minimize the affair. She was caught completely off guard, boxed into a corner by her own transaction history.
Now, of course, Sarah totally panicked. She tried to claim the charges were just mistakes or, that the card was strictly for emergencies. She tried everything to downplay it. But her lawyer looked at Michael's file and knew instantly they were in massive trouble. And the lesson here is so profound for anyone going through this. In divorce court, you do not win with emotion. You win with evidence. During those really intense courtroom cross-examinations, the opposing lawyer is going to try to provoke you. They want you to get mad. But the winning strategy? Take a breath, refuse to take the bait, and just point right back to the documents. You let the paper trail do all the talking.
And wow, did that paper trail speak volumes. It led to an absolutely stunning courtroom verdict. They had a 3-day trial where Michael's lawyer just methodically, patiently laid out all the statements, the PI reports, the receipts. And the judge made a really decisive ruling. Because the proof of financial fraud and marital misconduct was just so overwhelming, Michael was awarded 60% of the marital assets. 60%, not that standard 50-50 split. The judge clearly saw the theft of the family's resources and completely adjusted the financial trajectory of the entire divorce just to compensate Michael for that fraud.
Let's actually break down what that legal victory looked like in real, tangible terms, because it's wild. So, the asset split, like we said, 60% awarded to Michael. But what about spousal support? Well, Sarah requested it, but the judge awarded her 0. Nothing. The judge ruled that stealing marital funds completely disqualified her. And that $47,000 in secret credit card debt, the judge assigned that one 100% to Sarah. It was ruled her personal debt, not marital debt. And as if that wasn't enough, Michael was awarded primary custody of the kids. So Sarah went from expecting this big payout to actually being ordered to pay child support to Michael. Just a total reversal.
When you actually tally all of this up, the 60% asset split, getting out of spousal support, and completely dodging that $47,000 in hidden debt, the financial impact of Michael's strategy is just staggering. By taking this disciplined, completely emotionless, legally focused approach, he saved himself approximately $380,000. $380,000. Compared to what a standard 50-50 divorce settlement would have been, he protected nearly $400,000 of his family's future. And it's all because he made the incredibly hard choice to document the truth rather than confront the lie right away.
So let's bring this home. What are the key takeaways if you or someone you know ever end up navigating the terrifying early stages of financial betrayal? First things first, never ever confront them without proof. Second, silently secure years of full statements. Don't just grab the last few months. Go deep. Third, look for recurring patterns in locations and times, because trust me, the data always tells a story. And fourth, involve a lawyer before you take any action whatsoever. Listen, if you fear financial infidelity is happening in your marriage, finding your power through calm, methodical documentation is hands down the single most effective way to protect your assets before you even file.
It really is an incredible story, isn't it? Turning ultimate betrayal into ultimate power. Michael didn't just get angry. He got smart. He used the cold, hard truth as his ultimate weapon. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. If you were sitting there doing your monthly budget, and you suddenly discovered a hidden $47,000 credit card in your spouse's name, knowing what you know right now about marital misconduct, could you override your emotions? Would you confront them right that second? Or would you actually have the composure to stay completely silent and gather the evidence first? Think about it, and we'll see you in the next explainer.